Most cat owners think they're reading food labels, but they're actually just looking at marketing. The front of the bag says premium, grain-free, natural. Sounds great, right? Flip it over and you'll often find corn listed before chicken, vague meat byproducts with no species named, and protein percentages that wouldn't sustain an obligate carnivore long-term. My name is Jasmine Caldwell, and I'm a dog groomer by trade, but years of working with multi-pet households taught me something crucial. Understanding cat food labels isn't complicated, but it absolutely matters. You're listening to the Pet Parent Podcast. Quick heads up before we dive in. Everything you're about to hear is fully researched and written by real people with actual expertise, but the voice you're hearing is AI generated. We do it this way to get solid, human-vetted information out to you faster and more consistently. Just wanted to keep that transparent. If you've been listening for a while, thank you. It means a lot that you keep coming back. And if you're new here, great to have you along. We put out new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so you've got a steady stream of pet care content heading your way. Today, we're breaking down how to read cat food labels, and honestly, it's one of those skills that pays off every single time you go shopping.
I'll level with you. I'm a dog person professionally, but over the years, I've learned that reading cat food labels matters just as much as understanding dog nutrition. Several of my clients have both cats and dogs, and watching cats thrive or struggle based on what's in their bowl taught me that label literacy isn't optional. Whether you're new to cats or you've had them for years, learning to decode these labels takes maybe 20 minutes and will completely change how you shop. I'm going to walk you through exactly what to look for, what red flags to avoid, and how to translate all that fine print into better health for your cat. This guide works for cat owners at any experience level. You don't need a nutrition degree, just a willingness to flip the bag over and actually read what's printed there. Before we start, here's what you'll want to have handy. Grab a cat food bag or can with the full label visible, not just the front panel with the pretty picture. Have your cat's current weight and age for reference, and note any known health conditions or allergies they have. You'll want a calculator or smartphone for comparing feeding amounts across brands. Look up AAFCO nutritional profiles. You can find these through the Association of American Feed Control Officials website, or they're usually printed on quality labels. Keep your vet's contact info nearby if you need to verify recommendations for specific health concerns. And if you're comparing multiple brands, paper and pen for notes helps. All right, first step. Start with the AAFCO statement. It's your first quality filter. Before you even glance at ingredients, find the AAFCO nutritional adequacy statement. It's usually tucked on the back or side panel in small print, and it tells you whether the food has actually been tested or simply formulated to meet feline nutritional standards. You're looking for language like formulated to meet the nutritional levels established by the AAFCO cat food nutrient profiles, or even better, animal feeding tests using AAFCO procedures substantiate that this food provides complete and balanced nutrition. The feeding trial version means actual cats ate this food for a minimum period and demonstrated adequate health markers. That's the gold standard. If there's no AAFCO statement at all, put the bag back. It's not considered complete nutrition and shouldn't be your cat's primary diet. You'll also see life stage designations: adult maintenance, growth and reproduction, that's for kittens and pregnant or nursing cats, or all life stages. Don't feed kitten food to your senior cat just because you have leftovers. The caloric density and nutrient ratios are calibrated differently, and you'll risk weight gain or nutrient imbalances. This statement is non-negotiable. Everything else on the label is meaningless if this basic quality threshold isn't met.
Now, let's talk about the ingredient list. The first 5 ingredients matter most. The ingredient list is organized by weight before processing, which means wet ingredients like chicken will always rank higher than dry ones like chicken meal, even if the dry version contains more protein after moisture is removed. This trips up a lot of cat owners when they're learning to read labels. Your first 5 ingredients should include at least 2 to 3 animal protein sources. Cats are obligate carnivores. Their bodies are designed to derive nutrients from animal tissue, not plants. Look for specific named proteins: chicken, turkey, salmon, duck, Beef. Avoid vague terms like meat byproducts or poultry meal without a species named. You have no idea what animal that came from, and quality varies wildly. Chicken meal or salmon meal is concentrated protein, about 300% more protein by weight than fresh chicken, and it's actually a quality ingredient despite sounding processed. Fresh chicken listed first is great, but once the water cooks out during processing, it might contribute less protein than that chicken meal listed fourth. Watch out for ingredient splitting. That's when manufacturers list multiple forms of the same ingredient separately to push it lower on the list. If you see ground corn, corn gluten meal, and corn bran all in the top 10, that's a red flag. Combined, corn might be the primary ingredient, but splitting it makes it look like there's more meat. I've seen clients switch their cats from a food with chicken, corn, wheat gluten, soy as the first four to one with chicken, chicken meal, turkey, chicken liver. The difference in coat quality at grooming time, yes, I groom the occasional cat, is night and day. Shinier coats, less dander, better skin, all traceable back to what's actually in the bowl. Moving on to the guaranteed analysis, this panel shows minimum percentages of crude protein and crude fat, plus maximum percentages of crude fiber and moisture. These are legal guarantees, not exact amounts, and crude means they're measuring total content, not digestibility or quality. For adult cats, you generally want to see minimum 26% crude protein in dry food, though 35 to 40% is better for obligate carnivores. Minimum 9% crude fat in dry food. Healthy fats support coat, brain, and hormone function. Maximum 3 to 5% crude fiber. Cats don't need high fiber unless they're managing specific health issues, and maximum 10 to 12% moisture in dry food, or 78 to 82% moisture in wet food.
Here's the tricky part. A dry food with 30% protein and a wet food with 10% protein aren't directly comparable because of moisture content. To compare accurately, you need to convert to dry matter basis. Subtract the moisture percentage from 100, then divide the nutrient percentage by that number. For example, wet food with 10% protein and 78% moisture. 100 minus 78 equals 22. Then 10 divided by 22 equals 0.45, or 45% protein on a dry matter basis. That's significantly higher than many dry foods. I'll be honest, most cat owners skip this math, and that's fine for healthy cats eating quality food. But if you're comparing wet versus dry options or troubleshooting weight or coat issues, this calculation matters. One more thing, the guaranteed analysis doesn't tell you about bioavailability, how well your cat can actually use those nutrients. A food with 40% protein from feather meal is technically high protein, but largely indigestible. This is where ingredient quality and AAFCO feeding trials become critical. Next, look for named fats and essential nutrients cats can't produce from plant sources. Fat source matters. Look for specific named fats like chicken fat, salmon oil, or sunflower oil. Avoid vague terms like animal fat. What animal? Or excessive amounts of generic vegetable oil. Cats need omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids for skin, coat, and anti-inflammatory benefits, and animal-based fats provide these in more bioavailable forms than plant sources. Because cats are obligate carnivores, they cannot synthesize certain nutrients that omnivores can make from plant precursors. Check that the label specifically lists taurine. That's an amino acid critical for heart and eye health. Deficiency causes dilated cardiomyopathy and blindness. Arachidonic acid, an omega-6 fatty acid cats can't make from plant oils. Vitamin A, cats can't convert beta-carotene from plants into usable vitamin A, and niacin, cats have poor conversion efficiency from tryptophan. Most quality commercial foods add these, but it's worth verifying, especially with boutique brands or homemade diets. I've seen well-meaning owners try grain-free formulas thinking they're healthier, only to discover the formula was poorly balanced.
Chelated minerals, like zinc proteinate rather than just zinc oxide, are absorbed more efficiently. That's a nice bonus in premium foods, but not a deal breaker if absent. Now, let's calculate actual caloric density and cost per day. The feeding guidelines on the label are starting points, not gospel. They're often calculated for intact, moderately active adult cats, which means they'll overfeed most spayed or neutered indoor cats and underfeed high-energy hunters or kittens. Find the caloric content, usually listed as kilocalories per cup or kilocalories per kilogram on the label. If it's missing, contact the manufacturer. Reputable brands will provide this information freely. Then calculate what you're actually feeding. If your 10-pound adult cat needs about 200 to 250 calories daily, a rough average for an indoor spayed cat, and the food contains 400 kilocalories per cup, you're feeding about half a cup daily. But if you switch to a denser food with 500 kilocalories per cup, you'll need to reduce to about 2/5 of a cup to maintain the same calorie intake. Cost per day matters more than cost per bag. A 15-pound bag at $40 might seem expensive, but if it's calorically dense and you feed less, it could be cheaper per day than a $25 bag where your cat needs 50% more volume to meet caloric needs. I keep a simple spreadsheet for my dogs. Yes, dogs, but the math works identically for cats, tracking cost per serving across brands. It's saved me from buying budget foods that actually cost more because I'm serving twice as much. For cats especially, nutrient-dense food often means smaller portions, less litter box volume, and better weight management. Next step, identify red flag ingredients and fillers that don't serve cats. Not all ingredients are created equal, and some are just cheap fillers taking up space where quality protein should be. Watch out for corn, wheat, and soy as primary ingredients in the top 5. These are cheap protein boosters that cats digest poorly compared to meat. Byproducts without species identification, meat byproducts could be anything. Chicken byproducts, organs, necks, feet, are actually fine and nutritious if lower tier. Artificial colors like red 40, yellow 5, blue 2, your cat doesn't care if the kibble is brown or rainbow, and some evidence suggests these may trigger sensitivities. Excessive carbohydrate content is another red flag. While cats can digest some carbs, dry foods with 40% or more carbohydrate, calculated by subtracting protein, fat, moisture, and ash from 100, are too high for obligate carnivores. Propylene glycol, used in semi-moist foods, is banned in cat food in some countries due to potential effects on red blood cells, and BHA, BHT, and ethoxyquin as preservatives. These are controversial synthetic antioxidants. Natural preservatives like mixed tocopherols, that's vitamin E, or rosemary extract are safer. Generic meat terminology is another warning sign. Meat and bone meal or animal digest tells you nothing about quality or source. Compare that to deboned chicken, chicken liver, turkey meal. You know exactly what's going into your cat's system. One ingredient that confuses people is ash. It's not added, it's the mineral content left after burning off organic matter in lab analysis. Dry foods typically contain 5 to 8% ash. Higher ash, 9 to 10 or more percent, can indicate more bone content or lower quality ingredients, but moderate ash from quality animal sources is perfectly normal. I'm not saying a food with one of these ingredients will poison your cat, but when you're comparing two options and one has artificial colors while the other uses natural ingredients, the choice is obvious. Now let's cross-reference the marketing claims on the front panel. The front of the bag is designed to sell, not inform. Marketing terms are often regulated, but still misleading within legal boundaries. Natural means the ingredients are minimally processed and contain no synthetic additives, but it says nothing about quality or nutritional balance. Natural byproducts are still byproducts. Holistic has no legal definition in pet food. It's pure marketing unless backed by other verifiable claims. Human grade means ingredients meet FDA standards for human consumption and were processed in human food facilities. This is a meaningful step up, but rare and expensive. Most quality cat foods use feed-grade ingredients, which are safe and nutritious, even if not technically edible by humans. Flavor rules matter too. If the label says chicken cat food, chicken must make up at least 95% of the product, excluding water for processing. Chicken dinner, chicken formula, or chicken entree only requires 25% chicken. Chicken with chicken means just 3% chicken. Chicken flavor can contain 0 chicken, just a flavoring derived from chicken. So, salmon and sweet potato entree has notably less salmon than salmon cat food, even though the front panel make both look substantial. I've watched clients get drawn in by gorgeous packaging with words like premium, gourmet, and natural, only to flip the bag and find corn listed before any animal protein. Front panel first impressions are great for narrowing options, but always verify with the back panel details before committing. Here's a critical step. Match the food to your cat's life stage, health status, and activity level. Learning to read cat food labels is pointless if you're feeding the wrong food for your cat's specific needs. A kitten formula fed to a senior cat with kidney disease is a recipe for problems, even if it's a premium brand. Kittens up to 12 months need significantly more calories, protein, minimum 30% dry matter, and fat, minimum 9%, to support rapid growth. They also need higher levels of DHA and omega-3 for brain and eye development. Look for AAFCO growth or all life stages statements. Don't skimp here. Poor kitten nutrition has lifelong consequences. Adult cats, 1 to 7 years, need maintenance-level nutrition focused on lean muscle and healthy weight. Depending on activity level, you're typically looking at 26 to 30% protein and 9 to 12% fat on a dry matter basis. Indoor-only cats usually need fewer calories than outdoor or highly active cats. Senior cats 7 years or older often benefit from higher protein, 30% or more, to preserve lean muscle mass, but lower phosphorus if kidney function is declining. Seniors may also need joint support, glucosamine, chondroitin, more moisture from wet food or hydration support, and easier to digest ingredients. Some senior-specific formulas reduce calories to prevent weight gain in less active cats, but starving an aging cat of protein is counterproductive. Health conditions change everything. Cats with chronic kidney disease need restricted phosphorus and sometimes limited protein, though this is debated. Diabetic cats need low-carbohydrate, high-protein diets. Cats with food allergies need novel protein sources or hydrolyzed formulas. Overweight cats need calorie-controlled, high-protein foods to preserve muscle during weight loss. Your vet is your partner here. These labels provide the raw data, but interpreting them for a cat with hyperthyroidism or inflammatory bowel disease requires clinical context. One thing I've learned from my own multi-dog household, just like my senior shepherd can't eat what my terrier mix thrives on, your 12-year-old Persian shouldn't eat the same food as your 6-month-old Bengal. Tailor the food to the cat in front of you, not some generic cat. Let me share some pro tips and common mistakes. Don't fall into the grain-free equals healthier trap. While some cats have genuine grain sensitivities, most tolerate moderate grain content fine. The bigger issue is whether meat is the primary ingredient, not whether there's rice in the formula. I've seen cats do poorly on grain-free foods loaded with peas and potatoes, high-carb, low nutritional value, and thrive on grain-inclusive foods with chicken as the first 3 ingredients. Rotate proteins if possible. Feeding the same single-source protein for years can increase allergy risk and limit micronutrient diversity. If your cat tolerates it, rotate between chicken, turkey, and fish-based formulas every few months. Just transition gradually over 7 to 10 days to avoid digestive upset.
Store food properly or you're wasting money. Even the best food degrades if exposed to heat, light, and air. Keep kibble in the original bag. It's designed to preserve freshness. Seal it in an airtight container and store in a cool, dry place. Use within 4 to 6 weeks of opening. Wet food should be refrigerated after opening and used within 2 to 3 days. The most common mistake I see? Trusting the front panel and ignoring the back. A bag with a beautiful cat and the word premium in script font can still have corn as the first ingredient and single-digit protein percentages. Flip it over, read the fine print, every time. Another mistake, assuming expensive means better. Sometimes you're paying for marketing and packaging, not meaningfully better nutrition. Compare labels side by side. You might find a mid-priced food with better ingredient quality than a boutique brand charging double.
Finally, don't let perfect be the enemy of good. If your cat is healthy, maintaining good weight, has a shiny coat, solid stools, and good energy on their current food, you don't need to overhaul everything just because the label isn't perfect. Use this knowledge to make incremental improvements or informed choices when it's time to switch, not to create feeding anxiety. Let's wrap up with some frequently asked questions. What does complete and balanced mean on cat food labels? It means the food meets AAFCO nutritional standards for a specific life stage, kitten, adult, senior, or all life stages, and can be fed as your cat's sole diet without supplementation. It must either pass feeding trials or be formulated to match AAFCO nutrient profiles for cats. How do I compare wet and dry cat food nutritional values? You cannot compare wet and dry food directly using the guaranteed analysis because of moisture differences. Convert both to dry matter basis by subtracting the moisture percentage from 100, then dividing each nutrient percentage by that number. This gives you apples to apples protein, fat, and fiber comparisons. Are byproducts in cat food actually bad for my cat? Not necessarily. Byproducts are organ meats, necks, feet, and other parts humans don't eat, but cats would consume in the wild. The key is specificity. Chicken byproducts or turkey byproducts are identifiable and can be nutritious. Generic meat byproducts or poultry byproducts are red flags because you don't know the source or quality. How often should I change my cat's food based on what the label says? You don't need to change food frequently unless your cat's life stage, health status, or weight changes. If the current food meets AAFCO standards, has quality ingredients, and your cat is thriving, stick with it. If you choose to rotate proteins for variety, transition gradually over 7 to 10 days and monitor for digestive issues or sensitivities. So here's the summary. Learning to read cat food labels transforms you from a passive consumer into an informed advocate for your cat's health. Start with the AAFCO statement to confirm the food is complete and balanced. Then work through the ingredient list, looking for named animal proteins in the first 5 ingredients. Decode the guaranteed analysis, converting to dry matter basis when comparing wet and dry. Verify essential nutrients like taurine and vitamin A are included, and calculate actual cost and calories per day. Watch for red flag fillers, ignore front panel marketing hype, and always match the food to your specific cat's age, health, and activity level. This isn't about achieving perfection or spending a fortune. It's about making informed choices with the information literally printed on every bag and can. Once you know what you're looking at, shopping for cat food becomes faster, clearer, and far more effective. Your cat can't read these labels, but you can, and that makes all the difference between feeding blindly and feeding smart. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Pet Parent Podcast. We've got new episodes dropping every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so you'll never run out of practical pet care info. If you found this helpful, I'd really appreciate it if you could leave a 5-star rating and write a quick review. It's one of the biggest ways other pet parents find the show, and it genuinely makes a difference. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe or follow so you get notified the second a new episode goes live. See you next time.